She ended our relationship, but insisted we'd stay friends. I responded, sure thing. A few weeks later, she discovered that friendship didn't come with financial support, emotional labor, or vehicle maintenance, especially after I began dating her housemate. Our 2-year relationship ended on a Tuesday evening. It wasn't a loud argument or a tear-soaked showdown. It was calm, patronizing, and concluded with the most degrading sentence anyone could hear. We'll always be friends, won't we? My now ex, Amber, had been pulling away for weeks. She called herself an artist, though that mostly meant working part-time at a cafe, daydreaming about the book she'd write someday, and looking down on people like me who earned a steady living. I run a small business restoring vintage cars, working with my hands. To Amber and her lofty art school clique, that made me basic. Dependable, but basic, a functional piece of furniture you keep around but never truly appreciate. That night, she sat me down on the couch in our shared apartment, where my income covered roughly 80% of the bills, and delivered a rehearsed speech. It was filled with vague drivel about needing to feed her creative spirit and feeling confined by our relationship. The underlying message was crystal clear. I, with my oil-stained hands and practical mindset, wasn't thrilling enough for her grand artistic path. I didn't argue or try to sway her. I'm a mechanic. When an engine's beyond repair, you don't negotiate with it. You acknowledge it's done and either rebuild or scrap it. This relationship was totaled. So, I sat there, listening as she outlined her exit from my life. Then came the final, condescending jab. She placed her hand on my knee, her face a mix of pity and self-righteousness. We'll always be friends, though, right? She said, as if granting me a grand privilege. She expected gratitude, expected me to be thrilled to remain in her orbit as a loyal, platonic resource, the ever-reliable Jake, always ready to fix her car or cover her expenses, but without the complications of a real relationship. In that moment, something shifted in my mind. The pain or disappointment I might have felt was replaced by a sharp, cold clarity. She wasn't ending a partnership. She was reassigning an asset. I looked at her composed, earnest expression and gave her a slow, steady smile. Sure thing, I said. Relief washed over her face. She'd done it, secured her freedom while keeping her safety net. She had no clue that my version of friendship was about to teach her a costly lesson. Great, she said, her smile now sincere. I'm so glad you're handling this maturely. Of course, I replied, standing from the couch. That's what friends do. So, as your new friend, here's some advice. Start looking for a roommate to cover my share of the rent, because I'm moving out this weekend. My friendship's free, but my portion of the bills isn't. Her smile didn't just fade, it shattered. What? You're leaving? She stammered. But you can't. Where am I supposed to go? Not sure, I said, heading to the bedroom to pack. But I'm confident a creative artist like you will figure it out. Friends support each other's resourcefulness, right? Update 1. Amber couldn't process the idea of me actually leaving. For the next hour, she trailed me from room to room as I gathered my belongings, her arguments escalating from bewilderment to panic to fury. You can't just ditch me here, she said as I pulled clothes from our shared closet. The lease has both our names. You're legally accountable. You're correct, I replied, keeping my pace steady. We're both on the lease, so I'll cover my half of the rent until the end of this month. That gives you about 3.5 weeks to find someone to take my spot. Or we can terminate the lease together, which comes with a $2,000 penalty we'd split. I'm fine either way. Your call. The mention of a $1,000 penalty, a sum she absolutely couldn't afford, sent a wave of panic across her face. Her part-time job provided what she called inspiration funds, enough for coffee and art supplies, but I'd been the one covering the real costs of living. I can't afford that, and I can't find a roommate in 3 weeks, she said. You have to stay, Jake. At least until the lease ends in 6 months. It's the right thing to do. We're friends, remember? Friends don't force friends to live in a tense, awkward environment, I said, pausing to meet her gaze. That's unhealthy. As your friend, I'm giving you the space to discover yourself, and I'm taking my space too. Just then, our third roommate, Maya, walked in. Maya, a veterinary technician who rented the apartment's smaller second bedroom, was quiet, worked long hours, and avoided Amber's constant drama. She saw my open suitcase and Amber's tear-streaked, furious face and sighed. Let me guess, she said wearily. Her car broke down again? Worse, Amber wailed, turning to her for sympathy. He's abandoning me. He's moving out. Maya's eyes met mine over Amber's head. I gave a small, exhausted shrug. We broke up, I explained. I'm packing my things. I'm paid up through the month. After that, you'll need a new roommate. Maya's expression was neutral, but she gave a slow nod. Got it, she said, then slipped into her room and shut the door, a master of staying uninvolved. Amber, without an ally, spent the rest of the weekend trying every tactic she could muster, crying, reminiscing about our early days, accusing me of being heartless. I didn't engage. I kept packing, responding through the lens of our new friendship. You're really throwing away 2 years of memories? She'd sob. As your friend, I think it's healthier to focus on the future, not the past. I'd reply, my tone calm and detached. The first real test of our new dynamic came the following week. I'd moved into a small temporary apartment and was settling into my new life when Amber called on a Tuesday night. Jake, thank God you picked up, she whispered frantically. The power's out and the internet's down. You have to come fix it. Did you check the breaker panel? I asked. The what? It's in the utility closet in the hall, I explained patiently. Probably a tripped switch. Find the one that's out of alignment and flip it back. I'm not doing that. It's dark, and I'm scared I'll get shocked. Please, Jake, as my friend, come over. There it was, the friendship card. I took a deep breath. Amber, as your friend, I'm worried about your safety, but I'm 2 towns away. It'll take me an hour to get there. The quickest fix is to call the apartment's emergency maintenance line. It's on the fridge. They're available 24/7. There was stunned silence. She was so used to me fixing everything that calling maintenance hadn't crossed her mind. But they'll charge for that, won't they? She asked, her voice small. Maybe, I said. But as your friend, I think your safety and comfort are worth it, don't you? You've got this. Let me know how it turns out. I hung up before she could protest. The calls and texts kept coming. A few days later, her car was making a strange noise. I suggested a trusted mechanic. When she complained about the cost, I, as her friend, recommended starting a savings account for repairs. Every issue she faced, issues I'd once handled without hesitation, was met with calm, friendly, but utterly unhelpful advice. I was her friend, and friends, I was showing her, don't solve your problems. They just offer encouragement and wish you luck. Update 2: Amber's life unraveled over the next month, and I had a front row seat, thanks to an unexpected connection with Maya. After I moved out, Maya and I started texting, initially sharing updates about Amber's meltdowns. I'd offer sympathies, and she'd keep me posted on the chaos. Amber's roommate search was a fiasco. She wasn't looking for someone to share rent. She wanted a replacement for me. Her ad demanded a clean, quiet, financially secure roommate willing to handle household tasks, essentially a new live-in partner who'd pay her bills. Predictably, no one applied. One evening, Maya texted, sounding unusually stressed. Her dog, a scruffy terrier mix named Buster, was unwell, lethargic, and refusing food. She was panicking. The emergency vet was across town, and she didn't want to take him on the bus. Amber's out with some guy from a poetry event, she wrote. I don't know who else to call. I'm on my way, I replied without hesitation. I drove her and Buster to the clinic, and we spent 4 hours in the waiting room, chatting about everything from her law school stress to my love for restoring old cars. We discovered a shared dry humor and practical outlook. By the time the vet confirmed Buster was fine, he'd eaten a sock, something had clicked between us. I started finding reasons to see her. I offered to fix her car, a rundown sedan in worse shape than Amber's. I spent a Saturday afternoon replacing her oil and spark plugs, not asking for a cent because I wanted to help, because I liked her. We began dating quietly, no drama, just 2 people who enjoyed each other's company. We kept it secret, knowing Amber would unleash a storm if she found out. The confrontation came 2 months after the breakup. Amber had finally found a new roommate, a desperate grad student. I had to visit the apartment to sign papers removing my name from the lease. Maya, fresh from her last exam, came with me so we could head out to celebrate afterward. The living room was tense. The building manager was there, along with the new roommate, who already seemed to regret his choice. Amber was overly cheerful, prattling about her new chapter and how everything happens for a purpose. As I signed the final document, freeing me from the lease, Maya squeezed my hand in support. To Amber, it was a betrayal. Her eyes locked onto our hands. Her fake smile froze, then cracked. The color drained from her face, replaced by a look of venomous betrayal. She'd lost her partner, her financial support, her fix-it guy, and her emotional crutch. Now, she saw me moving on with the quiet roommate she'd barely noticed. She didn't yell or cry. She just stared, and in that moment, I think she realized the true cost of her friendship. Final update: a year has passed since I left that apartment for good. Amber's life and mine have diverged completely. After the lease signing, her world collapsed. Her new roommate lasted 6 weeks, leaving a note saying he'd rather live in his car than stay another day. Unable to pay rent alone, Amber was evicted. Maya heard she moved back to her parents' house 3 hours away. Her artistic city life reduced to her childhood bedroom. Her attempts to paint me and Maya as villains fell flat. She'd burned too many bridges, and everyone knew she'd ended the relationship. My life, meanwhile, is better than ever. Maya and I live together in a small house I bought across town, with a big yard for Buster and a 2-car garage for my projects. She passed the bar and works as a junior associate at a law firm. We're a team, splitting bills and chores, supporting each other's goals without resentment. It's the easiest relationship I've ever had. My revenge wasn't a grand scheme. It was a steady refusal to play Amber's game. She wanted friendship? Fine. I was the best friend she could ask for, offering endless advice and no real help. I stepped out of the provider role, and her life, built on that foundation, crumbled. Then I built a better life with a better partner, right in front of her. That, it turns out, was the most satisfying kind of friendship.